Kentucky's gubernatorial race between incumbent Governor Matt Bevin and Democratic Andy Beshear is in a dead heat, with new polling showing both candidates at 46%. President Trump and Vice President Pence will be campaigning for Governor Bevin, while Beshear, who is the state's current attorney general, has Kentucky Republicans jumping in to endorse him. Daniel Desrochers is a reporter for the Lexington Herald-Leader and joins me now from Lexington, Kentucky. Daniel, welcome. Until just a few days ago, Bevin was the most unpopular governor in the country. Isn't that right? So how did this race get so close?
Yeah, so the governor is a very unpopular incumbent. The only reason, I guess the biggest reason this race is close is because he's kind of the main character in this race, right? If you were just looking at a generic Republican, the Republican would probably be up 12 or 15 points, right? Donald Trump won Kentucky by a little less than 30 percentage points back in 2016. So because he's so unpopular, it's given the Democrat, Andy Beshear, room to kind of really rise and make this a competitive race. This was always going to be a sort of competitive race. And now we're just kind of seeing, as things wind down, the central question of this campaign has become, how many people has Matt Bevin angered over his first term in office, and how angry are they?
That's so interesting. So Kentucky teachers apparently, though, are rallying behind Beshear. And why is that?
Yeah, so the big issue there, the thing that really kind of made Bevin unpopular was his, kind of this crusade to take on our pension system. We have one of the worst funded pension systems in the country. And so the way that the governor went about it didn't actually make a lot of teachers happy. So he's got this kind of brash personality where he believes that what he believes is right, and and he'll stand by that. And he doesn't really kind of hold any prisoners. And so he said things like, when the teachers protested in Frankfurt, he said that he guaranteed that a child was sexually assaulted because there were probably children in the state who were left home alone. There were teachers who were picketing a state senator's business, and he said that those teachers were displaying a thug mentality. And so those sorts of comments have really angered teachers. And in a lot of rural Kentucky, the school district is the largest employer. And so it really kind of undermined him, and it all just kind of snowballed from there, with people, getting more and more frustrated with some of the things that he said.
And then, Daniel, 3 months ago, unpaid miners and their families were blocking coal on a railroad track for 38 days there in Harlan County. Today, Governor Bevin announced a deal was made and miners will finally get the back pay they are owed. Do you think this is going to help him with Eastern Kentucky voters, or did the deal just take too long so he won't get credit?
I don't know if he really gets credit for that, because the attorney general's also been working on it. And so Andy Beshear, his opponent, has also been trying to get the miners this money. Neither of them really necessarily have a direct role in the deal that was struck in court. And I think that the miners kind of see through that. Coal's always been this kind of cultural issue in Kentucky, and it's a really big issue. And Eastern Kentucky is really important to this race, right? So when you look at the primary, Governor Bevin's not popular in southeastern Kentucky. Donald Trump is popular in southeastern Kentucky, and so Andy Beshear is also struggling there. So,
right.
It'll be interesting to see what way southeastern Kentucky breaks. Right now, according to the polling, if you believe it, it's been looking more like they're going to break Republican.
So, a Republican state senator and former Republican candidate for governor have both endorsed Andy Beshear. So how is that impacting voters?
So, the primary candidate for governor, he was not a major candidate. He barely got any of the vote during the primary. And if he did, it was part of this kind of protest vote against Governor Bevin. But it's really, that kind of central question of how angry are people? This is what it's about, right? These are Republicans who are so angry or so dissatisfied with the job that the governor has done that they're willing to cross the aisle and endorse Andy Beshear. So now our question going into Election Day is, there's going to be some options for the kind of more Republican-leaning voters in this state, right? Either they kind of hold their nose and they vote for this governor that they don't really like. They could just skip that race when they vote on the ballot, vote in the other constitutional officer races that are on the ballot, or they could just stay home, or they can cross the aisle and vote for Beshear. Beshear has to both hope that his people, the teachers, the people who are really mad at Bevin, turn out, and that he has that kind of crossover appeal with some of those Republicans to be enough to put him over the top on Election Day.
And that President Trump rallying for Bevin doesn't move the dial significantly, right?
It moves it a little bit, right? So Republicans are counting on a Trump bump. It's really this question of, Matt Bevin has this very defined personality. People know how they feel about him.
Right.
So is it possible to transfer Trump's goodwill over to Bevin? I don't really know the answer to that question. I think we'll find out.
We'll find out. Daniel Desrochers in Lexington, Kentucky, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.